Yes. So next up.
Next up is well, the correct title is Why Mike Thinks Social Media Policies Are Stupid.
This one just declares that they are stupid.
So Mike wrote a blog article this week declaring
I wrote a blog article this week.
Was this like the first time in 3 months you posted on the HubSpot blog?
No. I'm probably these days maybe monthly.
Good for you.
Blog. Did somebody just snark there?
I think it was Halligan, the CEO.
Okay.
So, in any case, Mike, tell us why are social media policies stupid?
No, ours isn't stupid, but they are, like, in general, why they're stupid?
I said, why are they stupid?
Oh, why are they stupid? Okay, so here's the thing. I don't understand why people feel like they need to call out this specific form of communication, and we need a special policy for this particular form of communication, right? You can do things that are equally, if not more stupid, in other forms of communication. For instance, lots of people, especially in the B2B world, go to trade shows and events. Lots of people there maybe perhaps consume alcohol and do really stupid things and insult analysts and do all kinds of crazy stuff that are just like bad things, right? So that's one thing. Email is another thing that people do all sorts of stupid things, like weird replying to the wrong person, saying the wrong thing all the time, right? That happens a ton. Phone calls, like people do that. Like people say stupid stuff on the phone sometimes to customers.
Or where you think you put someone on mute and then you're like, God, this is such a jackass.
Right.
And then you're like, whoops.
Yeah, there's tons of things that happen all the time in all these other forms of communication. And I don't get why everybody is so scared we need a social media policy before we let people do this stuff. And yet you're letting your employees like get on planes and go to events and use phone and email and all this other like equally dangerous forms of communication without having a policy for those things. So I just don't get it. I think it's a total waste of time. And I think it calls out social media as something like extra and dangerous and weird and scary when it shouldn't be.
It's
right?
true. So you kind of just ramped up there to Karen Rubin speed, which was pretty interesting. But my one question to you is...
I want to know if it was enticing.
My one real question to you is, if social media policies are stupid, why is there a social media policy on HubSpot's wiki?
I don't think there is one. Is there one?
There is. I wikied it before we came in here.
Did you? Okay.
HubSpot social media policy.
That's one of the
crafted by Brian Halligan just about a year ago.
Really?
Yes.
What does it say?
Social media and blogging policy.
No.
Yes.
What's the page say though? Is it like don't be stupid?
Yes. In fact,
okay.
I think it's use common sense.
Okay.
Which kind of gets to the heart of what you're talking about.
I think if companies feel like they should have some kind of a policy, that's fine, but it should be some sort of a corporate conduct policy or a communication policy overall that encompasses every form of communication. Why call it this one channel just because it's new?
Yeah.
I don't think that makes any sense. I think it should be about your overall conduct and overall communication.
I was actually talking to one of our brand new POs, Josh Payne, who came over here from IBM this week, and he was saying that, IBM is a huge company. You would expect that they'd have some policies, and essentially their social media policy just basically points to their corporate conduct policy, and it says like use judgment and make sure you're following that, which seems like the way to do it. And if a phone policy or whatever, it's all about the corporate conduct policy.
Yeah.
I spent a whole bunch of time trying to come up if I could disagree with you on this, because it's fun to disagree with Mike, and occasionally I win, which I've done before. And I couldn't really disagree with it. I do think that my one thing is there are some big companies like Fidelity or the U.S. military, not really a company, but where having a social media policy might encourage people to do social media. If they believe they couldn't because there's no policy, they're like, well, my company could never let me do it, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, but even in those cases, I'm not sure if it's a policy that helps. It's really more kind of like training and education that are really maybe the tools that you need to use, as opposed to like, oh, now we have a policy so people can do it.
That was the conclusion that I came to through conversations with a variety of people. So I think you're right on this one. I don't think social media policies you should waste a lot of time on them.
I agree. What was interesting about this too, maybe from another perspective, was it was definitely sort of written as an opinion piece on the blog. I think one of the things we might need to be careful of in the future is like fact versus opinion, because sometimes people say like, what are you talking about all this stuff? It's like, well, it's a blog, it's an opinion piece. So I tried to more clearly denote it as that.
It does
and
say
then really
this is an opinion piece.
and then really encourage people to leave comments.
Yep.
We got over 90 comments so far just in the past 2 days.
Right.
On that article. It's actually the most commented article in 2010 so far.
Were there any decent arguments that disagreed with you?
Decent? No.
No.
I mean, there were.
Wait, there were none there that you were like, oh, that's an interesting argument.
There are people that say that there were some people that said that for certain corporate legal reasons, like they felt like in order to be able to fire someone when they did something really stupid, you needed to have a policy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's technically true or not, but if you feel like you do, even in that case, I'm still like, why don't you just have an overall corporate conduct policy?
Yeah.
If that's what you feel like you need.
I have to say, I can't begin to understand like the big company manipulations that have to go on around these kinds of things, it can be something that's, I'm sure, very different from HubSpot.
Yes, very
Just
different.
maybe a little bit.
Yep, totally. So,
do
we have a marketing takeaway there? Yeah, so the marketing takeaway is, if you have to have a policy, make sure it covers more than just social media.
I think that sounds great. Which
I'm glad you think that sounds great.
I approve of this message, Mike.
That's awesome.
Good job.